So we're saying using a calculator or otherwise, calculate the exact value of 1 4/7 divided by 2/3, and you're going to take 1 5/7 from that. Basically, what we normally do, we want to convert all mixed numbers to improper fraction first. All right. So in this case, 717 plus 4, that's going to give us 11/7. This is going to be divided by 2/3. And in the end, we're going to take 717 plus 5, 12/7. All right. So we're going to work out this first piece here, right? We're going to be dealing with that first. Remember that we actually don't divide the fractions, right? So if you get fractions to divide, we're going to change the division to multiplication and then reciprocate the fraction that comes after it. So we're going to get 3/2 right there, right? So if there isn't anything to be canceled, and I'm not seeing anything to cancel here, so we're looking at having 33/14. Because when you're multiplying fractions, the top multiplied by the top and the bottom multiplied by the bottom. So now, having 33/14, we want to subtract 12/14, right? So when you subtract that, let us see what we get from that.
12/7, not 14.
Oh, 7. Good, good, good. 12/7. Thank you. All right, so we have 12/7. So let's go with our LCM. 14. 14 into itself, 1. 1 times 33. That's going to give us a 33. 7 into this going to give us 2 times. That's 24. And when you subtract that, that looks like about 9/14, right? So we're getting 9/14 there for the final answer for that. All right. So 9/14, and you're good to go right there. Let's take a look at the other question to see what it is that they're asking. All right. So the question says, when Megan started working, she was paid $85 per week. So you want to make note of this, $85 per week. After 6 months of probationary period, her pay increased by 20%. So it increased by 20%. How much was she paid? Watch this now, after. So you want to make note after the increase. All right, so after the increase, we want to know how much money she's getting. There are a number of ways you could do this, but I'm just going to flow one particular way. So this was her original money right there, $85 per week. She's going to get 20% more added to that. So you could just do the regular, finding 20% of that $85, right? So 20% of that $85 looks like about $17. Hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, we'll get $17 here. And then now what you want to do with that, you want to add that to what she had before. So we're talking about her new pay after increase. So after she got that increase, she's going to be getting that $85 plus $17 more. She's not getting $102. And I'm not saying that's the only way that you could work that. I might just give you the second option. Now, if you want to, that's one way you could work it. A second option to work this is to understand that if she's going to get an increase, her percentage will be moving from 100 to 120. This is where she's going now in terms of percentage. All right. MM11, you're marking the board. Please take it off. All right. So in terms of increase, she's going to go 120. So this is the new thing that we want to find, 120. So whenever you want to find that thing, put it at the top in terms of the percentage. We're going 120, put it at the top. over what we got, which was 100%. Multiply this by that 85. And then it's going to take you straight to the answer. So 120 times 85, divide that by 100, and you get the same answer. Doesn't matter how you do it. It's just a quick 1 mark question. I've gotten the answer right there. All right, there it is. My screen is marked. I'm going to have to stop sharing and come back to it quickly. All right, there we go. All right, it's gone. All right, so there it is. 102. Take a look at the C part of this question. It says, in 1965, right here, the population of country A, was 2,714,000. In 2015, the population was 3,663,900. Here comes the question. Write the population in 2015 correct to 3 significant figure. 2015 population, here it is. 3 significant figure. Let's take a look. All digits are significant except 0, which may or may not be significant. So when we talk about the 3rd significant figure, counting from right to left, here is our 3rd significant figure right here. So number 6 is in this 3rd significant spot. Then you want to take a look to the digit to the right of it. That's a 3. So if a number that to the right of the spot is in the category of 0 to 4, you're going to have to leave the spot. But if the number to the right, immediate right, is in the category of a 5 to 9, you add 1 to the spot. Definitely it's a 0 to 4, so we're going to have to leave the spot. Remember though, that we're talking about millions. So we're going to have to replace these numbers with zeros. Final answer, 3,660,000. And that would have been to 3 significant figures. It's a 1 mark question, not a lot to do. Next question says, write the population in 1965 in standard form. Go back for it. 1965, here is the number that we're dealing with. And they want us to write this in standard form. Remember, with standard form, there is a framework for it. For example, your decimal point, which is currently not seen, which means it's at the back. So a decimal point is right here, cannot be there. It must come after the first non-zero digit from left to right. For example, it's going to come right between the 2 and the 7. All right. So then you want to check to see how many places did it hop to get there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it means then each hop is a power of 10. So it is going to be 10 to the power of 6. And because this number is greater than 1 from the beginning, the power must be positive. Because it can be a negative or a positive, but numbers greater than 1 are equal to 1, must be a positive. So there it is, we have that positive power right there. So 2.714 times 10 to the 6.
And that's 1 mark, sir.
Yeah, it's 1 mark because it's something that you do with a snap of your fingers. Yes, it is. You're not going to get more than 1 mark to respond to a question like that. Just 1 mark.
Okay, sir.
All right. All right, let's continue working. All right, so we'll continue working. So now we're saying determine the percentage increase in the population from 1965 to 2015. Talking about the percentage increase in the percentage. All right. Now, here is the deal. First, I want to look at the numbers. Make sure you have the numbers. So we're talking about 3, 6. Making sure that we have all the correct numbers here down. This is where it is now. Where was it? Coming from 2, 7, 1, 1, 2, 3. All right. So when we talk about percentage increase, we want to first find our increase. So percentage increase, let me write what it is that we're about to do. Percentage increase is going to equal to the increase over, I'll say the original, and then you multiply this by 100. That's all you're doing. So it's the increase over the original, and then you multiply that by 100. So technically, you could find the increase separately if you want. It's up to you. So the fact that I started writing it, let's find the increase. 36,63900 minus 2714123. All right, so the increase is actually 949,900. All right, so here is the deal. It's gonna be 949,900 over the original 2714123. Multiply this by 100. So it's your increase over the original times 100. Make sure that you're not making any errors, because it's very, very easy to write down a wrong figure or something like that. What are we looking at here? We're looking at 35%. All right, so there is an increase of 35% for that. And here is a 2 marks that I believe that you can easily get, right? Quick 2 marks. All right, let's take a look at this ratio question here. The ratio of teachers to male students to female students. Pay attention. The ratio of teachers to male to female is given as 3 to 17 to 18. If the total number of students, and this is a very tricky one if you're not looking. So we're talking about teachers, right? We're talking about teachers, males and females. And it was given as 3 to 17 to 18. That's how we actually got it, right? That's how we actually got that. So now, these are students here. We're not talking to teachers. So when they gave us this clue and they said the total number of students is 630, they're talking about understanding the part of the proportion that you have to be thinking of, 17 and 18, because they're not talking about the teachers. So now you're going to have to make a total. Your 17 plus 18, that's going to give you about 35 parts, right? And this 35 parts would have been linking to students. So we want to take this 35 and say, guess what? This is equal to that 630, right? So that is equal to 630. Now, question wants us to find how many teachers, but I need to find how the proportion is being done. So I'm just going to simply, there are many ways you can do this. I'm just saying, I'm just working it from this angle, right? So just divide this by 35. So that we have a better understanding of that one part is 18. One part is actually 18 people. So the number of teachers now will be, how many teachers? As a proportion, 3 parts. So we want to say, oh, one part is 18, so it's 3 times 18, and we'll get about 54 teachers. So we're putting things into perspective, right? Putting things into perspective. So this is kind of a nice way to walk yourself through it. Just making links, looking at what you have. All right, let's continue. So number one is finished. And I'll say to you, if you're serious, easy, 9 marks that. Based on what we just looked at, you don't have to make any error up there. Easy 9 marks.
Sir, just a second. Can you scroll back to number 1, the very first part?
All the way to the top.
Yes,
right
sir.
Here.
Thank you. Just a second.
You good to go? All right.
Sir, hold it steady for a second, please.
All right, go ahead. All right, hold on. Go ahead.
Thank you.
All right, let's continue with the next question. All right, so we're at number 2. Number 2 is normally where the algebra comes in, right? So it says 2 quantities, n and t, are related as follows, right? So they're telling us n and t, they are related as follows. So it says n is equal to the root of t. Find the value of n when t is equal to 49. Remember that they told us that n is equal to the root of t. So if t is 49, we're substituting 49 for t. There it is. And then here it is. What's the root of that? N is equal to plus or minus 7, right? So there it is, n is equal to plus or minus 7. Whenever I'm taking the square root of a number, I normally put the plus or minus in front of it, unless I'm advised otherwise, all right? So plus or minus 7. 1 marks, there you go. All right. So it's very straightforward. You do your substitution. Now, the other question says make t the subject. So we want to make t the subject. Remember, though, that we were just told that n is equal to the root of t. So what we want to do here is that if you're going to make t the subject, we're going to have to get rid of the square root. What gets rid of square root is a square. So you want to square that. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do it to the other side. But we will understand that we'll have n squared, which is now equal to t. The square root and the square here would have canceled each other, leaving t. All right, if you want to write it and say t equal to n squared, fine. It's up to you. That's fine. It's another 1 mark, straight up. Easy thing. All right. Now, let's look at this question. So this question says, Ali is X years old, right? Ali is X years old. Jim is 5 years older than Ali, and Chris is twice as old as Ali. All right, so everybody is linking to Ali. Write an expression in terms of X for Jim's age and Chris' age. Go again. Ali is X. Jim is 5 years older than Ali. 5 years older than Ali. So Jim is X plus 5. And make no mistake, right? Not 5x. It's just 5 more years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A constant. And then further thing says Chris is twice as old as Ali. So Chris' age is going to be 2 times x. So there it is. We have x plus 5, 2x, 1 mark each, solid 2 marks there. Easy cheese, need to call it. All right, moving forward. Now, in 2 years' time, the product of Ali's age and Chris' age will be the same as the square of Jim's present age. All right. So now, follow. And they want us to show that x squared minus 4x minus 21 is 0. Represent the following information given. Let's go again. In 2 years' time, the product of Ali and Chris' age, right, will be the same as the square of Jim. Present. This is the trouble. So watch this now. So in 5 years' time, watch this. Talking about 5 years, 2 years, not 5, 2 years' time. 2 years' time. In 2 years' time, you know what Jim will be? Jim will be x plus 5 plus 2. All right? So Jim is going to be x plus 7 in 2 years' time. All right? And then Ali, Chris, hold on. Oh, hold on. Okay, I think I write Jim's age here, but hold on. I think I wrote the wrong age, meaning focusing on the wrong person. Should be Chris and Ali. Hold on, let me highlight it. Here it is. Chris, Ali. I wrote Jim. So let me write Ali. That's my writing error. Ali would be x plus 2. All right, so we're focusing on Ali. So my mistake that I wrote Jim just now. And they said Chris, let me highlight that. So let me write Chris' age now. Chris, my bad, that's my error. Chris was 2x. So Chris is gonna be 2x plus 2. So we're talking about in 2 years' time, the product of Chris and Ali's age. All right, so there we go. So we have these persons' age. So focus, as you could see, I wrote Jim. I don't know why I wrote it when they did say Ali and Chris, all right? So let's focus on this now. They use the word product. Product means to multiply. So they are saying that 2 years from now. So the main thing is that what we wanted to do was to make sure that we grab this part, understanding that 2 years from now, you're gonna be adding 2 to their current thing, right? Ali is X now, 2 years from now, 2. I mean, Chris is 2X, 2 years from now, plus 2. So they are saying the product, and we know that product means to multiply, right? So we're going to be multiplying these age. And then now, they are saying, this is where Jim comes. They are saying now that it's going to be the square of Jim's current or present age, which is this. All right, there you go. All right. So here's the deal now. Here's the deal. When we read this information right there, right, you would have gotten the fact that the product of Chris and Ali will be the square of Jim's present. And this is Jim's present age. So it's all about now putting it together without making any error. All right, let me just try. Let me change the marker for all right, good. So I'm going to have x times 2x plus 2. Then I'm going to have positive 2 times 2x plus 2. All right, and that is going to equal 2, depending on who you are. If you know how to square a binomial, fine. If you don't know how to square it, remember what this is. It means x plus 5 times x plus 5. That's what it means. There's a short way of doing it. All right, but I'm not showing you that now, so I'm just going to do regular. So it's going to be x times x plus 5. Then you have a plus 5 times x plus 5. So you're squaring it right there. So there it is. You want to put everything together. I'm on the left side, x times 2x, I'll get 2x squared. X times 2, I'll get plus 2x. 2 times 2x will give me 4x. 2 times 2 will give me 4. And this is going to equal to x squared plus 5x. Then I have another 5x plus 25. We want to simplify what we have on both sides and bring things together soon. So this is 2x squared plus 6x plus 4, which is equal to x squared plus 10x plus 25. All right, the numbers look good. What we're going to do now is to make sure that we follow what they want. Remember, I know this is what they want you to show. Show that you can get that. X squared minus 4x minus 21. You want to show that you can get that. No problem. So what we're going to do now is to get things on the same side. I'm going to highlight terms that are alike. X squared, x squared. So I'm just taking the time out just to highlight, please. This is x, x, and I have my constants here. 4, 25. So there it is, we color code those ideas. We're gonna bring them beside each other. 2x squared, then we have a minus x squared. All right, you have a positive 6x. On this side, you'll have a minus 10x, positive 4 with a minus 25. Remember, all of these on the right side, you subtract them. You will be subtracting these. You will be subtracting these. All right, so that is why they are subtracted from the other side. In simplification, you would have x squared minus 4x minus 21 equals 0. And you're seeing here that this is what they actually asked us to show. Take a look at it. So by the time we're finished, we get the exact answer. Don't have to do anything for it. All right. Hence, we have proven this right there. So it's all about, I'll just say, not making any mistakes as you go forward. And here is a nice 3 marks, but you had to follow the instructions, see what they're doing, so that you don't make any form of error as we go. All right. It says calculate Ali's age. Calculate Ali's age. Ali's age is X, right? You wanna make sure that you understand that. Listen, Ali's age is X. So if I'm supposed to calculate Ali's age, then technically I want to find the value for X. Remember now, I just realized that x squared minus 4x r plus, let me look. Yes. Minus 21 is 0. Of course, I can solve for x. All right, 3 and 7. All right, so talking about A is 1, B, -4, C is -21, AC is 1 times -21, and that is -21. So what are the numbers for 21 that could give me a 4? 3 and 7. So we're going to be using up our 3 and our 7. 1 will be negative, 1 will be positive. So because of that, remember, let the bigger one take the sign of B. Let me remind you, the sign of B is a negative right there. So that means the 7 will be the negative and the 3 will be positive. Let's solve this problem. X squared plus 3x minus 7x minus 21 is equal to 0. Because we have 4 terms and there is not a common factor, we will be doing them by grouping. So as you could see, x, open bracket, x into x squared gives us x, and x into 3x will give us 3. -7. -7 into -7x, I'll get x. And -7 to -21 will give me +3. And this is equal to 0. X plus 3, x minus 7 is equal to 0. Remember the zero product rule though. Two things multiply to give a 0. It's either one or both are 0. So we're going to suggest now that, listen, it's either x plus 3 is a 0, which means that you subtract 3 from both sides, x is -3, or x minus 7 is a 0. If you add 7 to both sides, as you could see, x is 7. Now, when you look at these solutions, one has to be very critical. You cannot have a negative age for somebody. So because of that, I'm going to have to draw my conclusion. Ali's age is 7 years old. This is not applicable right now. For the context of the question, the age of a person cannot be negative. All right, so we put it together and there it is. Ali is 7. That's another 9 marks. That's 18 marks already. Question 2 is finished. So you could see that our question 2 is going to be an algebra, factorizing, solving of equations and stuff like that. Question 3. It says the diagram below shows the triangle PQR, right? Which angle QPR is 62 and PQR is 90. You're seeing that. PR is 11.
Well, somebody tell me, say, book, maybe book enough. That's what I'm.
Remember, guys, if you're in the class, please keep your mics muted, please. All right, let's go. So then we have the information there. The first question says that we want to find the size of angle PRQ. PRQ. Size of angle PRQ, this. Now, this is an easy choose 1 mark question because there are only 3 angles in a triangle. If this one is 90 and this one is 62, then the other one is going to be 180, subtract the sum of those. I don't want you to do any extra working unnecessarily, right? So we'll get about 28 for this. So this angle right here is 28 degrees. All right. A lot of people doing all sorts of trig and stuff. Don't stress yourself out. We have 3 angles. We got 2. We find the third one easily. Geometry. Now the length of the side RQ. Take a look. We want to find RQ. RQ. We want to find the length of this side. So if I want to find RQ, I have multiple ways of doing that. I'm just going to pick one, right? So taking a look at this, 62. This side is the opposite to it. And I have the hypotenuse, which is the longest side of the right angle triangle. Remember this. So, ka, toa. So you remember so, ka, toa, right? So then which one of these would have involved the opposite and the hypotenuse? Check it out. Sine.
Sine.
So I'm going to jump and use my sine to work that one out, right? So I'm going to start off by saying, remember that the sine of an angle, the right angle triangle, is the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse side. So then the sine of 62 degrees is equal to r cubed over 11. Remember our triangle looked like this. 62, 11, r cubed. All right? So that's our r cubed, and that's p up here. All right? So then, right now, if I just multiply both sides by 11, I will get it that 11 times the sine of 62 degrees will give me r cubed. I always encourage you to make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. Make sure, because if you don't do that, you will be getting an answer, but definitely not the one that you want. So r cubed is equal to 9.71. And there's a 2 behind it, so 71 is properly rounded off centimeters. Here is the thing. When you're not told what decimal place or significant figure to use, always use 3 significant figures. All right? So that's like a default for a CXC. 3 significant figures when you're not told, right? So that is why I stop at 9.71 centimeters. All right, and that's for that. Let's see what the other question is. Transformation is the B part. So by now you're kind of seeing what could come at where. We're at question 3. We're getting a transformation here, and we got a little trigonometry there. All right, so you notice now that they can drop a trigonometry and mix it with a transformation question. Here is a transformation question. It says the diagram below shows 3 triangles, X, Y, and Z. All right, so we're seeing them X, Y, and Z. All right, and it says here on the grid, square grid. There it is. So let's go for the questions. Question 1. Triangle X is mapped onto triangle Y by a reflection. All right, let us take a look. Let me go. I think I put it somewhere that we could look, so we could go back and forth. So it says, let's read this. Triangle X is mapped onto triangle Y by a reflection. State the equation of the mirror line. So they're telling you X and Y is a reflection. Mirror line, please. X and Y is a reflection. So let me mark them for us. Here is X, here is Y. So it's a reflection. Where is the mirror line? The mirror line is going to be halfway between the image and the object. Observe the image, observe the object. Take a look at this, take a look at that. Halfway between that is going to be our mirror. So I'm going to drop the mirror line for us, right? So I'm seeing here that the mirror is right here. Mirror line is the x-axis. And if you want confirmation, you could pick on the points. Like if even one of the points, take a look. Number 2 here, right here. It is 2 units on top of the x-axis. And the corresponding point for it fell 2 units beneath. Let's look at this point just for reinforcement. It is 1, 2, 3, 4 units on top of the x-axis. And that corresponding point fell 1, 2, 3, 4 units beneath. The final one, right here, it was 1, 2 on top, it fell 1, 2 beneath. So definitely you're seeing that our mirror line, as the question wanted, is the x-axis, or you could call it y equals 0. So let me mark it. So it is the x-axis, or you could call it y equals 0. That is our mirror right now. So you observe. You're going to notice that all you have to do is to observe these things as you go forward, right? Nothing to do but observation. All right, so I'm just going to write it here. So it is the x-axis, or y equals 0. All right. Now, the thing is, because they said this though, very important. Let me just clear this up for you nicely. This is the key. State the equation. So because they said state the equation, you want to give this. We agree that the x-axis is the mirror line, but the fact that the question said state the equation, you have to represent yourself properly. We do understand that it is the x-axis, but we have to respond to the call. So you have to say y equals 0 this time to get the mark, only because they put this here. State the equation of the mirror line. If they never said that, x-axis would be perfect, but they rarely said it. So we have to be careful there. All right. So reading of the questions, as you could see, is very important as you navigate. Understanding that it's not just the knowledge that I have that would work, but how do I use the knowledge in context of what it is that they're expecting from me right now. Let's move to the next question. It says describe fully, right? So you want to describe fully a single transformation. Well, describes the transformation which maps x onto z. Let us take a look. X onto z. Now we're talking about this. Take a good look at them, observe them. Now, when we talk about transformation, what we want to do is to eliminate. We want to eliminate ideas. For example, it's not a translation. It's not a translation. Translation does not turn up your object like that. All right? Now, it's not an enlargement. How do you know? The size did not change. Now, we just saw a reflection, and you would have been convinced that that is not how the reflection looked. Now, whether or not you agree, it is a rotation. So when you finally decide on what it is that you're dealing with, what do we need to identify for a rotation? There are a number of things that you identify for a rotation. One, you need to know the degree. You need to know the direction. Yeah? You want the degree, you want the direction, and you also want the center. So as long as you're going to actually deal with a rotation, you want to give those three things. So one, it's a 90-degree rotation. How do you know? A rotation, well, you could say 272, depending on the direction you're going. So I could say 90 degree to go this way, but I could say 270 to go all the way in that direction. So depending on how I feel, it's up to me, all right? So if I'm going to use 90, I would say 90 degrees anti-clockwise. If I am going to go with the 90, it's 90 degrees, but anti-clockwise. So I'm following this. And not only that, about the center, about 0, 0. or what we call the origin. Yeah. So one description of this could be that this is a rotation of 90 degrees in an anti-clockwise direction about 0, 0, which is the origin. You never had to say that. Every 90 degree is connected to a 270 in the reverse direction. What do I mean? I can say as well, it is a 270 clockwise because I'm going the other direction now. So I could say that if I want. And I'm talking about being in the exam, you have so many options and people don't even know that. We're talking about, I could say my degree is a 270 degrees clockwise about 0, 0. That it is. So it is a rotation of clockwise 270 about 0, 0, or 90 degrees anti-clockwise about 0, 0. We'll get the marks and we are good right there. Let's see what the next question is. Right. So you realize now for the transformation, you know, they're asking for everything, you know, like they're doing like sometimes 3 or 4, but sometimes it's a 4 transformation that they want. Because we looked at rotation just now, we looked at reflection already, and what's coming next? Translation. See that? And look at the last one, enlargement. So you see all 4 in the one question. So it says on the diagram, page 10, translate. Yes, we're going to translate y, be careful, by the vector -7, 1. We could talk about that. Let's go to the page. -7, 1. I'm going to clear this up just for discussion. Allow me to clear. All right. For discussion, we're going to be clearing this off nicely. All right. So we want to translate y. So let's write down what we're doing. The translation t is going to be -7, 1. Make sure that it is. Double check it quickly. There it is, -7, 1. We're right. All right. So now, when you're translating, let me just discuss what each thing means. The top number is an x number. The y is at the bottom. Now, the reason why they link x and y together, because the motion mimics the orientation of the axis. For example, the x-axis is always like this, horizontal. The y-axis is always like this, vertical. Now, the mimic idea that I'm referring to is that when you're doing a translation, you have to move horizontally first and finalize your motion with a vertical movement. So your horizontal movement can be to the left or to the right. If you go to the right, it's a positive number. If you go to the left, it's a negative number. So in terms of horizontal motion, to the left, negative, to the right, positive. Vertical motion, if I'm going up, it's positive. But if I'm going down, it's negative. We want to embrace that. What we're going to do now is to remember that one translation is to combine your horizontal with your vertical. So then we're going to be moving points. We're going to be moving this point to its new location. Then this one to its new location. Then this one to its new location. And then we reshape what we have. Now let's take a quick look. We're going to be moving this one right there. Now, -7 is suggesting I'm going to go 7 places to the left. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 places to the left. And then +1 means I'm going to go 1 up. So this is my new location right here. Then now for the next points, we're going to do the same thing. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the left, 1 up. New location. The last point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 up. And there it is that we have all of those new locations. So what you want to do now is to take your ruler and draw some very bright lines as you recreate that shape. Allow me though to probably take off these markers and seeing that you saw what took place. Allow me to let the diagram look less crowded right now as I put it on. Please understand. Right? We like when the diagrams are clear so that the explanations come through with a lot more clarity, right? There it is. So let me drop my diagram here. You'll be using a ruler if you had printed. All right. So this is one. Might just put this in a different color. Let me put this in maybe blue. Last. There it is. So you take a look at it and you realize that, yeah, we did translate it, right? So when you translate something, you're seeing that it looks the same way, except it's in a new location. Nothing was twisted, nothing was turned. All right. So you would have collected some marks there. So you take a good look at the diagram and you should feel confident enough now to say, okay, yeah, I see what's going on. So it's like the entire diagram was shifted 7 places to the left and 1 up. You could see that.
You need to name it, sir.
To label it, sir.
Yes, what the name should be again? V. Was it V they said? V.
Yes, sir.
V. Very good. So we name it V. So there it is. Very good. Naming it V. All right. So now let's see the other question. Let's see the next question. The next question now says on the diagram on page 10, which is the grid that we're on, enlarge triangle X about the center 0, 0 and scale factor half. I'll say this to you. You see, whenever it's 0, 0, you have as a scale factor, and this is just something for 0, 0. So that means I'm not going to do the line drawing right now, like I would normally do when it's not 0, 0. When I'm at 0, 0, I can mess around with the coordinates. Let me say it one more time. When my center of my enlargement is 0, 0, I have many options. One of them is that the coordinates can be manipulated. So we're going to half every coordinate. Since the scale factor is a half, let's half them. Watch. Now remember though, let's look which one of the image that they want us to do. Take a good look. X, image X. So I put a little green in it, this one. Half. So I'm saying that this coordinate is a 0, 2. That means a half of 0, 2 would be 0, 1. This is 1 here. This is a 1 here. This is a 3 here. I'm just saying you could fill out these. A lot of times they would leave them off, but you could fill them in and work your math, okay? All right. So I'm suggesting that 0, 2 will become 0, 1. Let me put it over here. Enlargement. Let me take my time so that you could see the point I'm making. Center. Because the center is 0, 0, I have options. So that 0, 2 becomes 0, 1. We're taking a half. K is a half. And when I'm at 0, 0, my coordinates are affected by my scale factor. That is an extra information that we're using today. Now, 4, 4, see here? 4, 4. Anybody want to tell me what that becomes now? 4, 4 become what?
2, 2.
Exactly. 2, 2. And then lastly, 6, 2. Come again. Anybody want to tell me what 6, 2 become?
3, 1.
3, 1.
3, 1. So let's plot those. 2, 2 right here. 3, 1 right here. So you could see that the thing being minimized already. We're seeing the diminished state of the thing. Now let us just drop that diagram now. Take a look. So this is something that you need to take note of. When you're at 0, 0, and you're doing an enlargement, the scale factor manipulate the coordinates. So I don't have to do all the long lines for this one. All right. So that is why I'm taking the time to just execute another method, one that we never necessarily did based on what we were doing. Right. Oh, sorry about that movement right there. Let me fix this back. Right there. Last one now, and we're done. And you're seeing that it became a half. You look at it, you're like, yeah, it's really a half. Exactly. There it is. So now let us just let me clean up the diagram, please. I could take off the things. You saw what we were doing already. I could just take off some stuff so that we could just take a look at what we have dealing with. There it is. What was there a specific instruction? What should go in it? W. It's W. We should call this one. W. There it is. Take a look. And you're seeing the thing. You could look at this thing here and you're looking at all 4 transformation. And if you do this and you feel comfortable, trust me, you're on a good path. This is all 4 transformation coming out in this question. Very good. I believe the question is finished. Let's go.
Sir,
Yes, I'm listening. Speak.
could you read the question again? Let me process.
See the question here. It's right here. It says on the diagram on page 10, enlarge triangle X about the center 0, 0 and scale factor half. Label this image W. Good to go?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. And guys, are you seeing how many marks for each? 27 marks already. It says 9, 9. You're noticing what's going on. Take note. All right, let's jump at question 4. Question 4 now, you're seeing coordinate geometry coming now. So by now you guys should be able to see that, hey, coordinate geometry comes every year, no, comes right here. And if it does not come here, comes at number 8, right? So let's take a little time and look. Follow what they want. The question says here, the diagram below shows 2 lines, line L1 and L2. The equation of line L1 is x plus 2y equal 10. It's there. The line 2 passes through the point 0, 5, 0, -5, and is perpendicular to line 1. It was today I was dealing with a session, and I realized that almost every year they put the perpendicular thing there. Something about perpendicular comes out. Let's see what they want from us. Express the equation of the line L1 in the form y equal mx plus c. Focus though, don't mess up. L1, this is L1. Let me write it. It says x plus 2y equal 10. Making sure that it is L1, right? So now let's deal with it. X plus 2y equal 10, and we definitely want to express this in the form y equal to mx plus c. So I need to have the y by itself, but I'm going to get rid of the x first. I'll subtract x from both sides. So now I'll have 2y, which is equal to negative x plus 10. And then I need the y to be alone, so I have to divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. So you could see now y is alone. You could have negative half x plus 5. Somebody else might write it as y is equal to negative x over 2 plus 5. It's the same thing as half x, all right? So the negative x over 2 and the half x is the same. Up to you. Look at how many marks for it. 1, because they know that it's not a big thing for you to do that. State the gradient of line 1. Remember that you cannot state the gradient unless you write it in the slope-intercept form, which is this format. So don't try to give the gradient without writing it in this format where the y is alone. So then the gradient, as you could see, is equal to the coefficient of the x. So a lot of times I hear people say, oh, the gradient is negative half x. No, it's just negative a half, right? The gradient is just the number that comes in front of the variable x. This is another 1 mark question, as you could see. Every mark counts though. All right, let's continue working. Hence, determine the equation of line 2. They use hence. Remember, when you see hence, they are saying go back to that last idea. Now, the reason why they're saying hence is because we were told that line 2 is perpendicular to line 1. Line 2 passes through 0, 5, 0, -5, and it's perpendicular to line 1. Now, when lines are perpendicular, one gradient is the negative reciprocal of the other. Come on. So then, in order to write an equation of a line, I would write what I need. In order to write the equation, I need 1, the gradient of this line. Luckily, the gradient is the negative reciprocal of the other one. They are both perpendicular. So negative a half becomes positive 2 over 1. Because remember now, negative a half, the negative reciprocal becomes positive 2 over 1. We could just say 2. That's fine, right? I also need my y-intercept. Remember that this is the c value. Remember that this is the m value. So m is 2. Luckily, if you look on this diagram, right, I am not going to try to work out something that I'm looking at. Look, line 2, I'll highlight it for you. Line 2, it did cross the y-axis right here, where -5 is this number here is -5, right there. So -5 is that value. That is my y-intercept right here. 2 marks, the answer is y is equal to 2x minus 5. Remember, we're writing the equation of line 2, which is a line that is perpendicular to line 1 and passes through 0, -5. As we go, we're seeing more things are being revealed. Now, function comes at number 4. Here it is. Function can come at number 8 as well. It says, given that f of x is equal to 1/3 x plus 4, and g of x is equal to 3x all over x plus 1. Given that we have that, the question says here, determine the value of f of 9. I will need the f function if I am going to do f of 9. So now f of 9 is going to equal to substituting 9 for x. Well, 1/3 times x, 1/3 times 9, and then we're adding 4. 3 into itself, 1, 3 into 9, 3. 1 times 3 is 3 plus 4. Our value is 7. So f of 9 gives 7. Doesn't get harder than that. Relax. Get out your responses as you go. Let's continue working. Calculate the value of f of g of -3. Now, whenever I get composite functions, where more than one function is combining, we work them backwards. We work them from right to left. Matter of fact, there are two ways you could do this. In the interest of time, I'm going to do it the way that I think is simpler, right? So I'm just going to say, why not find a value for g of -3? And when you find that value, you inject it in the f function. So now the aim is to find what is g of 3, which means I need to go for my g function. I believe it was 3x over x plus 1. Then what I'm going to be doing here, I'm going to be doing g of -3, which means I'm going to be substituting, I will be substituting -3 where the x's are. So it's going to be 3 times x, x becomes -3 over -3 plus 1. Let's take our time to work. We end up with -9 over -2, and this is positive 4.5 or positive 9 over 2, right? 4.5 or 9 over 2, up to you. All right, so if you want to write 9 over 2, it is also fine, right? Now, let us now understand that we're not done, because now we're going to have to input whichever one you're using, the 9 over 2 or the 4 over 5. You want to inject this in the f function. So let me write back the f function. It is 1/3 x plus 4. So I'm going to have 1. So when I'm going to do this f of, say, 9 over 2, right? I'm going to inject that 9 over 2 right here. Yeah? And then add 4. Nothing else. This is my new value coming out, 9 over 2. Now, I could cancel, so I'm going to take it. 3 into 2 have 1, 3 into 9, 3. So let me continue working here. This comes up to be 3 over 2 plus 4, right? So it's up to you. 3 over 2 plus 4. Remember, 3 over 2 is 1.5. So this is actually 5.5, right? Or somebody could say 4 and 3 over 2, which is the same thing as saying 11 over 2. Yeah, I'm just saying, up to you. Write what you want to write. They won't crucify you, all right? But I would have written this or that, all right? 2 marks. And that's the response to the question. So we worked it like that. Let's continue working. Determining the value of x, right? So we want to determine the value of x for which g of x is equal to 5 over 2. Well, let us talk about this. G of x is given as 3x over x plus 1. Now, the thing says, look at this and take it as simply as you're seeing it. Determine the value of x for which g of x equals 5 over 2. G of x is 5 over 2. G of x is 5 over 2. Oh, that sounds like I could put 5 over 2 where g of x is. Huh? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because that's what you're doing. So put it there. 5 over 2 is equal to 3x over x plus 1. I'm just saying, this is math. Take things as simply as you will get them and use them to the best. We want to know what x value. This is asking us what x value I could have placed here and here. And when I'm done, my answer is 5 over 2. That's what this is asking. So we're not going to do it mentally. We're going to solve it systematically using algebra. Let's go. So what I'm going to do, as you can see, is to solve for x. So solve for x. That's what we're doing right now, right? So if I'm going to be solving for x, I need to get rid of my fraction. So I'm going to multiply throughout by a combination of a nice LCM that I have here. The LCM that I'm going to be working with would be 2, open bracket, x plus 1. I am going to be using that to walk myself through. Or you could do cross multiplication. I mean, there are so many ways. Matter of fact, why not do the cross? Let's just do the cross multiplication. Let me just remind you, because it's very good. You could multiply this times that over here, and it's going to equal to this one times that over there, like the cross of the hand, like that. You know, that's the thing. So we're talking about 5 times x plus 1 is equal to 2 times 3x. You can do that. You can do that when you have just 2 fractions dealing with. 2 fractions. So in this case, you want to simplify. What do I mean? Now you're going to have to employ your distributive property, where 5 will now multiply to the x and 5 will now multiply to the 1. Let's see what that is. 5 times x gives us 5x, and 5 times 1 gives us 5. And this is equal to 6x. Well, why not just organize ourselves? Since I have the 5 on the left, I'm just gonna get this on the other side, okay? So it means that I'm gonna be subtracting 5x from both sides. Now 5 is equal to 6x minus 5x, x. So my answer is that x is equal to 5, right? X is equal to 5, right there. Right there, x is equal to 5. Would you believe question 3 is finished? Total of 9 marks. I hope you guys seen what's going on. You're checking? Not question 4 should say, wasn't this 4? Yeah. 9 4s, 36. This is a 9 mark, right? Question. Let's go again. 5. Here comes our statistics. So it says, let me pull this out. Very good. All right. So the question says 100. So we are told, let me mark it. 100. It says 100 students were served, all right, on the amount of money they spent on data for their cell phones during a week. The table below shows the results as well as the midpoint for each class interval. Okay, we're seeing the number of students, frequency F, the midpoint X, and you're seeing the dollar here, so that's what we're dealing with. No problem. Let us now look at what's going on. They said using the table, determining the modal class. Very importantly, we want to note that they said the modal class, not the modal score, class. Now, the modal class would have been the class that occurs the most. So you look to see on your frequency, which one came the most. So you're focusing on 31 and you go all the way over here. And the answer is X is less than or equal to 80. It's greater than 70. That is the modal class. That's like a 1-mark question anyway. Huh? So the modal class is the one that occurs the most. You look at the frequency to see which one is most frequently, right? So we get that. Let's look at the next question. All right, so the other question says, we calculate an estimate. And I mean, an average is an estimate, guys. It's not like you definitely know it's close to the thing. So it says here, calculate an estimate of the mean amount of money spent, giving your answer correct to 2 decimal places. So we're gonna have to focus on that for a final. You get 1 mark to do that, right? Now mean, let's write the formula for your mean, right? So the mean can be calculated as the sum of the F over the sum of the, the sum of the Fx over the sum of the F. right? So now we're gonna have to create a column for the FX, work it out, and handle our business. Let's go back to the table. FX, so I'm gonna create FX right here. All right, so we're gonna create FX. I'm just gonna draw some quick lines, right? All right, let's plug some numbers in. Let's go. Now, you have all the values you want already. Fx, we have F, we have X. So we're talking about, I'll do it and you help me to go through quickly. 7 times 55.
385.
385. Thank you very much for that. 11 times 65.
715.
All right, 11 times 65. What we get? 715.
750.
Thank you. 31 times 75.
2,325.
Sound good. 2,325. 29 times 85.
2,465.
Thank you. 2,465. Lastly, 22 times 95.
2090. 2090.
29. All right. 2090.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for that. Now, that's the F column, Fx and F. Remember though, this is 100, so I don't need to check this because they told me it's 100 students. So I'm gonna put 100 here. Don't have to check that. Now, I need to check these over here though, the ones that we created. So let us plug in the values. We're gonna be adding this column up right now, adding these numbers right here that I'm highlighting. We wanna know what's the final thing for them.
7,980, sir.
Thank you very much. That sounds like something there. 7,980. All right, good. So we're gonna go with those numbers right here. So 7,980 divided by 100. And it's automatically
79.8.
Ah, but what did they say? Check that out. Do not do that.
VP.
Do not do that.
So
I know
it-
why you want to do that. It's money. That's why they are so. Yes, it's money.
Okay.
If they put 79.8 alone, it ain't problem because they did say two decimal places. All right. So we're gonna put that $79.80 money. Right? There we go. There you go. Very good. Good working. Let's continue seeing what the questions are about. Now, the next question says, Damien reports that the median spent is $84. Briefly explain why Damien's report could be true. We wanna discuss why it could be true. Talking about possibility here. Is this possible? Could this be it? Let's go back to the table. Remember, 84. Now, going back to the table, there is and look back, look at the keyword. Let me read it. This is it, median. I want to highlight that, median. We're talking about the median, right? So because we're talking about the median, there is something that helps us to locate the position of the median. We can find the position of the median. The median's position can be located using this. You could just add 1 to your frequency, divide it by 2, and then do a cumulative check down and up the table to see where it fell or where it falls. Let's check this out. 100 plus 1, divide that by 2. And 101 divided by 2, what are you looking at? 50.5. Now, I'm going to be checking. And the moment I reach 50.5 or more, I'll stop. Because 50.5 will help me to locate where the median is. And when I said I'm going to be checking, I will be adding up from 7, going all the way down until I reach 50.5. Let's go one direction. Let's come. 7 plus 11, that's 18. Somebody work with me. 18 plus 31, 49. We haven't passed it. And by the time you add this, you pass. So you have to stop. So when you're going down the table, it is telling you that, hey, somewhere over here. Now you have to go the other direction now to balance. So we're going to go up the table from 22. 22 plus 29 is already 51. So I passed. So I have to stop. You do realize that both of them are pointing at the same spot. They're both telling you that the median is in that class. Now, do remember this, that whenever you have group data, like the intervals, there is a representative, which is the midpoint. These are the representative for each. What number is representing this class where x is less than or equal to 90 but greater than 80?
85.
85. Now let's go back to the question, understanding that the median is in the class from 80 to 90. Is Damien anywhere within reach? Of course. Now, I'll explain why. I'll say Damien reports to that. Explain why Damien could be correct. Damien could be correct, yeah? Because the median class is x is less than or equal to 90, greater than 80. The median class is that, right? So, oh yes, Damien could be correct, all right? The median class is this. And the mid value, this is just information, is $85. You could see that Damien is right there. Of course, he could be correct because his number is from the class for the median, and they're referring to median here. If it fell out of the class, it could never be correct. But if it is within the class, he is within reach of that. So yes, it could be correct, and that's the reason. So the main thing here is the fact that the median class, Damien's prediction is within the median class. All right, and that is what you want to represent. Let's go. All right, next question now is, it says the two-way contingency table gives information on the mode of transportation to schools for 100 students. 100 students. Here's my total. Now let us fill in. They want us to complete the table by inserting the missing values. Now you have to think. Look, this is, look at that, 23. So vertically, let me put the work in beside it. Yes, 23 minus 15, give you what?
8.
So 8 is for that spot. And then you could, you could look across, go straight across right now if you want. So we're talking about what could be the total there, adding up everything in that row. We're just filling out as we go, right? So you could say 8 plus 18 plus 26. What's the total?
52.
52.
Exactly. So this is 52. And then let's go again. There's some, right now we could fill out this blank spot right here for cycle, right? Everything should come to 100. So it's going to be 100 minus 23 plus 40. Tell me if you agree with that. Right? 100 minus 23 plus 40.
37.
Yes, let me write this. It's a little bit blurry. Let me put it better. 100 minus 23 plus 40. And we get about 37. And then you could go up now and say 37 minus 18. Yeah, to get that missing one. Get about 19 now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna put all my answers in a different color. I might just put them in blue. Here are the answers. All right. Nice to put. So you look at these things and you just look at the keywords. You see them keywords that they make sense. Total, you know, seeing, understanding what's missing, add, subtract. You keep doing your stuff and you work. All right. So we have that. It's a 2 marks to complete that table right there. So we want to see what else it is that they want. So it says a student is selected at random. What is the probability that he or she was being driven to school? Remember what we said, probability reference?
100, sir.
Huh?
100.
Okay, let me look at it. Let me read it again. What is the probability that he or she was being driven to school? Exactly. So you go into the driving section. What's the total? 40. So 40 out of how many persons? 100. All right. So that is an acceptable answer. You could break it down if you want. If you said 2/5, you're good. And even if you turn it into percentage, or you say 40%, you're good. Or even if you said 0.4, you're good. I'm just saying, CXC is real. So, I mean, all of these answers are good enough answers in context. They never give any clause to force you not to. Any one of those is the same meaning. Right? And remember again, the probability is your desired outcome over the total possibility, what you call your sample space. Sample space is the total possibility. All right. So the 40, our desired outcome, over 100, because that is 100 persons we're selecting from. Let's go to the next question. This one now is slightly different, right? It focuses on whom? It says, huh? It says on one of the girls. So you're focusing on girls right now. Focusing on the girls right now. So one of the girls is selected at random. Not just one student is selected at random. Very specific to the females. So we're picking from the total number of females now, right? So one of the girls is selected at random. What is the probability that she did not cycle? Let's focus on the girls. How many girls that we have? Where are the girls? Oh, we're in the girls, everybody. This is the girls row. Did not cycle. Did not cycle. So if the person did not cycle, all right, they would have walked.
Anything but cycling. All of the total but cycling.
34 over 52, sir.
This is 63.
Yeah, man.
100.
So we're gonna add, so if you did not cycle, you either walk.
Yeah, so you're gonna add 26 plus 8.
Yes, or drive. So you're talking about the 8 plus the 26, and you get what?
34.
34.
You get 34. Now, this question, sometimes you might make mistakes, you know, if you're going too fast. All right. Now, you see, sorry. So because you were picking from the girls, it's going to be 34 out of the total number of girls. How many girls? How many girls, guys?
52.
Exactly, 52 girls. So you would have been picking out of the total number of girls. So if you're not looking, honestly, you can make a mistake, even when you know what you do. So this one is very specific to the girls. So it's going to be over 52. So now, that is the probability straight up. Or you could turn it, you could break it down more. What if you want to break it down
17 over
more?
26.
Somebody could say 17 over 26, and you're right. Or finally, 17 over 26, and you multiply that by 100, and you turn it into percentage. About 60, about 65 point something percent. You know, so it's up to you, you know, to represent yourself, you know, understanding the notion. However, they did not give a specific thing here. in terms of what they want me to do with the answers. Sometimes they will say as in the simplest form, as a percentage, whatever. They did not. So because they did not, then I am at liberty to flex my understanding. All right. So we can easily collect that. Everybody see another 9 marks gone? Yes. Easily. Collecting the 9s. Here is a question. All right. It says Farmer Brown makes trough to feed his farm animals using wood that is 5 cm thick. All right, so the wood is 5 centimeters thick, as shown in the diagram. You're seeing that. Notice, yep. All right, the trough, it's a rectangular base, so they're telling us that. So it's a rectangle, right? So if I should allow you just to see inside for a second, I could just do this. Basically, they're saying that there's a rectangular base down there, right? Taking it off, right? All right, good. Opened up at the top. So it's open at the top. That means there's no thickness for the top, but you can see that the thickness for the height is 1 dimension. We've seen that. Look, they're telling us about the external dimension, which is a 300 by 190 by 160. External dimension. All right, let's focus now. We got those. Focus. I'm going to find the question. Give me a second. I think I brought it here so that I could just bounce between the two so that we could see what we're doing. Hold on. All right, let me push this question up. Right, so this is what we're dealing with now, right here. Right, there it is. All right, good. So it says calculate, show by calculation that the internal capacity, Now the internal capacity slash volume is this number, 8,091,000 cm cubed. No problem. So what we're gonna do is to make the adjustment for the inside. And I'm talking about, if we're looking at this here, inside, you're gonna take off 5 off this, 5 off that. So you realize 10 is coming off. 5 is gonna come off here, 5 is gonna come off here. I'm saying, remember it's inside. So if the thickness of the material is 5, 5 is gonna come off both ends, except for the bottom, like the 160. The 160 is different. This, the 160, you only have 5 down here for the thickness, right? Just that. 5 for the thickness coming off. You can't take off any at the top. All right, my board is not responding for a second. Let's just relax. All right, I could switch it to this. All right, it should be back. It is back. All right, good. All right, so let's go. So what we want to do is to understand the measurements that we're going to be having. On the inside, guys, on the inside, this is going to be 290 because it's going to be the 300 minus 10, which is 5 from both sides, 290. So that is from right here to right here, inside. And from right here to right here is going to be 190 minus 10, which is 180, right? So this would have been the length of the inside. This would have been the width of the inside, right? And then now the height of the inside is going to be 160 take off 5. Remember, it's not 10 because it's only the bottom piece here where the height is like, this is the bottom. If I should show you, the bottom is that thick going around like that, and it goes around like that. That's the thickness at the bottom, that's all, right? So there's no top to it, so we're not messing around with the top measurement, right? So there it is, you would have gotten those measurements on the inside. Let me try write them back. 290 here, 180 here, let me put it here, 155. 190, 180. Oh, 899. So those are the measurements. So now if they want me to find the internal capacity, want me to prove it?
You multiply everything, sir, and that's the answer I got.
Exactly. Because you're finding capacity is the same thing in terms of calculation like volume. Put it together. 290 times 180
times
times
155.
155. You should see 809112 cm to the turn. So you did show them that you'll get that. Very good working. And please look out for those things when they're telling you. They tell you that it is open at one end and stuff like that. Pay attention to those details, please. All right, so we just proved that. Next question now says calculate the volume of the volume of wood needed to make the tank. Now we're going to talk. Now the volume, you will agree, let me just mark this up. You will agree that I could step inside here, could walk inside here, could walk inside there. And it is simply saying that it's empty. So that's not wood, it's empty, there's a big gap. That internal thing that we just found is empty space. Context for the word capacity, the space to be filled, that's capacity. We just found that emptiness inside. Now the wood that you could hold would be a unique idea. We're going to have to find that external volume. And when I minus my internal capacity, I am left with the volume of the wood. In other words, if I imagine that it is closed up and find the area, I'm finding the volume of the trough, and imagine that I pluck out the empty space out of it, I am left with the wood that made it. That's what we want to embark on now. We already know this. We know this already. So what we want to do now is to find the external. Go for the external measurement. Let's go for it. It's going to equal to the 300 times the 190 times the 165.
9120000.
And we should be getting 9. You mean 9? Wait. Oh, you're giving me the answer. Let me write this.
Yes,
first.
sir.
Not the answer yet. 9, 4.
No, sir, it's when I multiply this. So it's
So let me.
165. This sure it wasn't 160?
All right. Okay, let me double check. Hold on.
I'm not sure.
You might be correct. I think it is 150. 160. This is 160. Thank you for that. So let me put it in. 300 times 190 times
9120.
So we're getting
9120.
123.
Yeah.
Very good. So now to find the volume of wood, I'm just write it now. So the wood volume is going to equal to this number. You want to minus the empty space. Subtract that for me. And I'm getting 1029.
9000.
And it's cm to the third. That's the volume of wood right there. So you see the context of the question. Think about it and it makes sense. Right? Think about it. It should make sense. Ready again?
Sir,
I'm listening. Go ahead.
I was wondering if you could go back to the previous question, sir. I was taking a picture of it, sir, but you just skipped it, sir.
Which one? This one right here.
Yes, yes, sir.
Talk to me when you're done. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, let's go. Pay attention to more details now. Farmer Brown must paint the internal surface. So they make this word very big here for you. Farmer Brown must paint the internal surface. Internal, you know. Given that 1 gallon of paint can do 280,000 centimeters square of surface, determine the total amount of paint in liters that is needed. And they're giving a conversion from, you know, gallon to, we'll figure out that when we get there. What you want to do now, though, is find the total surface area of that trough. You need to find that total surface area. Now, let's take a look at it. Inside. So allow me now to kind of just mess around with the diagram. Inside, dealing with the inside. On the inside, this is 155. This is 180. Inside now, ignore these. I'm going on the inside. This is 290. I'm on the inside. Don't watch that. 180. 155. Thinking about the inside, I'm just showing you that these inside. All right. So these are the measurements that we have. I could just carry this computer, you know. All right. All right. So those are the measurements that we have right there. So we're talking about finding all those surfaces, just the area of those surfaces. Every surface has a twin. All right, almost every surface has a twin except the bottom because it is open at the top. So we're talking about we need to find the total surface area because we're going to paint it. So this 190, this 290 times 155 has a twin because this is 290 and this is 155. So you could see the twin across from it. So we are saying that we're going to put together, let us write the total surface area, and I'm going to put the big word interior. We want to make sure that we understand it's internal we're dealing with. So you're talking about 290 times 155, and we want to agree that it is 2 of it. No stress. I'm going to put the value there. So I have space. And then now you're talking about the 180 seat here times the 155 seat here is a twin. So another one is going to have that 180 times the 155, but it's a twin times 2. Lastly, right? Lastly is the bottom. The bottom is a combination of this. 290, 180. 290 times 180, and there is no twin for it because the top is open. Now let's put together those, please. So give me some values, some numbers. Yes? Come on, somebody. 290 times 155 times 2. I'm getting 89900.
Correct, sir.
180 times 155 times 2. I'm getting 55,800. 290 times 180. I'm getting 52,200. You want to add these up. Add them up. So you want to add them up, yeah? Let's add them. Come on. 8, 9. Somebody just add it for me. I'm just writing for you. Add them up. Add them up.
197,900.
Exactly. And it is centimeter square. That is, so we're saying that, listen, that is the interior surface. If you jump on the inside and you want to paint, that is the surface that you will be exposed to. This amount of surface. All right, now you need to respond to the question. So we have that. So let's take a peek back on what the question really wanted. The question says, so that all of that working should have come here, but I guess you're seeing it nonetheless. It's good for us still. All right, here, all right. Now, you have the total interior or internal surface. This, we found this to be 197,900. Yeah. But when you look at this, you realize that this is going to be less than 1 gallon because 1 gallon of paint can paint me 280. So I know that I'm not even going to need a gallon, right? So what we can do is we can divide. It's up to us, right? So I'm going to start off like this. The number of gallon needed is going to say, right? 197,900. If I divide this by 2,8, I want you to understand that there are many interpretations. This number represents 1 gallon. This represents 1 gallon. That. So the number of gallon needed is this amount. Check it. It's going to be less than 1 because you can see that.
0.707.
Exactly. So 0.707 gallons of paint. But they want the answer in another thing. They don't want it in gallon. What did it say? In liters. But there's a conversion. For every 1 gallon, there is 3.79. So now, so we're talking about the paint in liters. The paint in liters now is to understand that this is not even 1 gallon. So all is multiplication. Just going to multiply. Multiply to convert it to liters. Whatever you get, that's the answer. 0.707 times 3.79, and you're getting 2.68 liters. Talk to me. And that's the 3 significant figures, as you know. So that is the amount of liters that you need. All right? Good to go, man. And it makes sense because 3 liters linked to 1 gallon. We don't have 1 gallon. We have near to 1 gallon though. So it's near to 3.7. You know, 3.7 gigawatts. So you could say that, yeah, it wouldn't reach, makes sense. It's going and stuff like that. Right? Guys, make sure. All right, let's go. 3 marks for that. Make sure that you're collecting these marks. Everybody can see that it's pure 9 mark question you're getting. Right? 9 6s, 42 marks already, you know. How does it look? How does it exam feel already? Remember, you know, this is a 2021 exam. Exactly this. Right? Now let's see what else is coming. Next question. All right. Now, this question comes every year. The topic for it is observation. And of lately, what I try to do is to do my best to give you the best way out. Patterns, sequence, observation. So we want to take a good look at this to see what's going on. It says the first 3 figures in a sequence of shape formed by connecting lines of unit length are shown below. All right. Figure 1, figure 2, figure 3. You're seeing that. They wanted to do figure 4. Please make sure that you're doing it properly. I'm going to do it freehand here. You're supposed to use your ruler, please, and do it properly, right? I'm doing it freehand, so I'm not going to be as neat. Matter of fact, I might just want to do it neat. No, I don't need to. All right, so with my freehand, I'm going to create 4 because you're seeing 1 for 1, 2 for 2, 3 for 3. So I'm going to do 4. So I will be coming like this. Hold on. Look at the space you're taking up, please. You notice that these don't go up to the top, so it's about here. Don't let it go up to the top because it did not go up there, just stop. You want to do this 4 times. Here it is. So you take your ruler and you do it properly. But what I want you to take note of though is this did not go up there. Look where, look. None of them really went up there. So don't bring it up to here. Did not touch here. See, did not touch it. So you have to be very observant. A lot of people brought that up there and you're getting problem for that. You're going to lose your mark because you were not to the point, right?
Yeah, they showed me that one. So.
You didn't realize it, Miss Scott?
No.
All right, but you can see what we're saying now. So you look, because this topic is observation. Can you observe well? You have to be looking, trying not to make any errors as you go, right? Let's continue. All right, let's continue. Now, so we just did this one. It's normally for 2 marks. We get 2 already. This is normally a 10-mark question. So it says let's continue. It says the number of lines L in each shape and the perimeter P of the shape of the following pattern. Study the patterns of the numbers in each row of the table below and answer the question that follows. Complete the table showing the lines for the parameters and so on. So they're saying, listen, you're going to complete this and complete this. I would say to you, just do the checks that we always do. We're going to do a quick check just to see if there is what we call a common difference between consecutive terms. Look, 5. And the moment I see this, I know that I am down here will be easy for me. Let's check the other one. 3. 3. So the moment I'm seeing that, down the bottom is easy for me. Now, what I'm going to do is to complete the bottom part first. Since I'm seeing a common difference, I'm going to find what this is, and just complete the table. So I'm looking at this one. Remember we said that A is our first term. And you only can do this when there is a common difference between the consecutive terms. So A is 6. D is the common difference, it is 5. Substitute it in this formula. A plus n minus 1 D. All the time, all day, and it works. 6 plus n minus 1 times 5. Distribute your 5. 6 plus 5 times n, 5n. 5 times -1, -5. Simplify. 5n plus 1. Sometimes it's not really easy to see that it is 5 times n plus 1. Sometimes it will take you long, and that is why I'm saying do this when you find the common difference. Do it. Get it out the way and go quickly. Now, fill out the next one as well. A is 5 for that one. A is 5. Common difference is 3. Same formula. A plus n minus 1 D. 5 plus n minus 1, 3. Distribute to 3. 3n minus 3. Simplify. 3n plus 2. Let's put it there. So now I have what it takes just to navigate now. So this missing spot here, we're linking 66 to it. Oh, so then 66, we are saying that, hey, you can now take 5n plus 1, because that 5n plus 1 represent that column. Let it equal to 66, and it's going to give you that missing number there. Because what we just found is the relationship here.
It's 13.
Yes, so let's just work maths regular, minus. Regular maths we're doing, all right? Divide by 5, n is 13. In the n column, this number is 13. Let's go to this one over here. What do you think I'm going to be using, right? Remember now, we're talking about n, which is 13. I want to go all the way to the third column. 3n plus 2. 3n plus 2. n is what now? 13. 3 times n plus 2. 39 plus 2. 41. Right? Are we there? Make sure that there's no error. 39 plus 2 is 41 is correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Just make sure that there's no error. All right, what else? 5. So all I'm going to do is to say 5 times 5 plus 1. 25 plus 1, 26. Remember, 5 times n in a plus 1. And then this one is 3 times 5, 15 plus 2, 17. We're done. Are we done with that table there? I think we are. It doesn't get harder than that. Trust me, you can now see that. You see, when you find this and this early, it helps you to just fill out the table quickly. Like, you don't have to be wondering or guessing, because I do realize that when you guess, it might take you long, because you might not be able to realize it's 5n plus 1. You might not be able to make the link quick enough. But if you see a common difference, do it. And I'll say to you, 9 out of 10 times, they will make sure that there's a common difference. 9 out of 10. And when there is no common difference, then you could just see the thing straightforward. You're looking at a pattern without any mental thing. It's going to be there. All right, that's 8 marks. We have 2 more leads. Here it is. They are saying now, write a simplified expression in terms of n for the difference d between the number of lines and the perimeter n. So they want you to write something in terms of n for the difference d and n. So I want you to look, look. Let me go back for it so you could see. Look. Difference d, write a simplified expression in terms of n for the difference d between the number of lines, this is the line, and the perimeter. See there? Lines and perimeter. Number of lines, perimeter. Difference is called d. Lines, perimeter. What are the representatives for each? Lines, perimeter. So we're talking about 5n plus 1 minus, open bracket, 3n plus 2. D. Everybody can look at that? Lines, come. So now 5n plus 1 minus 3n minus 2. Be careful. You notice I put it in a bracket, it's a binomial, that's why. I don't want to mess around with binomial. So you put it in a bracket, so you force yourself to do the right thing. So you're talking about simplifying this. 5n minus 2n, 3n is 2n. 1 minus 2 minus 1. So you're talking about d is equal to 2n minus 1, 2 marks. Guys, when you learn and you get the thing, don't overthink it. Most times people overthink the question and make the error. You don't have to overthink it. It says difference. Difference means to subtract. You have the two ideas, subtract them and move on. We're now at number 8. All right, number 8. It says Marla buys 2 types of mobile phones, B-Flow and C-Flex. All right. From a company on a retail. One B-Flow mobile phone costs 60, C-Flex costs 80. She buys X B-Flow, Y C-Flex. All right. So this is X, Y. All right. Now they're saying Marla must not spend more than this amount of money, 1,200. Write an inequality to represent. So you're talking about just putting it together based on the price. $60 of the X ones plus $80 of the Y ones. That amount of money that I spend must be less than, if not, it could be equal to the money that I have. So that's the inequality, right? That's the inequality right there. All right. Let's continue. The number of B-Flow phones must be greater than or equal to the number of C-Flex. Listen, B-Flow is X and C-Flex is Y. Remember again, this is X, Y. So we are saying X must be greater than or equal to Y. That's what they say. So when you're writing on that inequality, it's based on the information right there. Now, let me see if I have the graph for this. Hold on. I'm going to need this graph. Let me put it. I'm going to need it to do the question. It says represent the inequality on the grid, right? And label R the region that satisfied both inequalities. So it's 2 of them they give us. Allow me to capture this diagram, please. Allow me to capture the diagram. I have to use it on the screen, so let me do this quickly. I overlook getting this one beforehand. Nonetheless, we're good to go. Good speed. There it is. All right, let's do it right now, right? All right, let's see what we can do with it. All right, so they want us to grab, let's just go back to the question. You want to read so that you understand exactly what they're saying. The question says here, it says represent the 2 inequalities on the grid shown, right? And then you're going to label the solution. So let us grab these equations now. So we're talking about this one. There are 2 of them that we have to deal with, right? One of them says that 60x plus 80y is less than or equal to 1200. And the other one says x is greater than or equal to y. Now, let's draw this one first. This one, for every inequality, there's a line that it is linked to. The line helps you. And inequality is a region. So the line for y equal, for x is greater than or equal to y is x is equal to y. Or most people call this y equal to x. You want to draw that line. That's the line that is linked to the inequality. So for every inequality, to get the line, you put equal where the inequality is and then represent that line based on your knowledge. So right now, y equal x is a line that connects corresponding values for x and y is like 0, 0, and 5, 5, 10, 10. I'm just picking. And it goes on. So I'm going to draw that line that says y is equal to x. Here it is. All right, so that's my line y equal x. I'm going to name it. That's the line y equal x. So the next thing that I want to do now is to get the line for this one. 60x plus 80y is less than or equal to 1200. I'm going to show you. All you have to do is to replace with an equal sign. That's the equation now. If you want to work with smaller numbers, what if you want to cut down everything by 20 so you can see it smaller? It's fine. You could cut, I think everything could be cut down by 20. So it looks smaller. So you'll get 3x plus 4y equal to 60. So you can do that too. You can manipulate the idea to work with smaller numbers so that you're fine, right? And I like to use the zero idea. Always like to use the zero idea. You don't have to cut it down, but I'm saying note that you can do this if you want. Like if the numbers look too big and you don't want to use them, you could actually cut it down if you can find one number that go into it. You don't have to, but you can, right? So you could use the zero principle now. Whenever there is a slant line with two different variables, and it's not as simple as this to draw the line, you want to just take out a set of coordinates, and you're gonna always try zeros first to see if it works. So you're gonna work out if x is 0, what y will be. So what I mean by if x is 0, take a look. Whichever one you want to use, let us say I'm using this, or if I'm using the original one, it doesn't matter. So if I have 3x plus 4y equals 60, if x is 0, I would have 3 times 0 plus 4 times y equals 60. So then you're seeing 4y is 60, divide by 4, y is 15 at this time. So this is a point. So a point that can work for us is 0 with 15. That's what we're talking. So one of the points is 0, 15. It works. I could plot it now. 0, 15 is right here. Right here. Buddy, right there. 0, 15, that's 1. I need one more point. And always try the zeros. So now I'm going to try when y is 0. Work it out. Try when y is 0 and then work it out. So if y is 0, 3x plus 4y equals 60. Y is 0 now. 3x plus 4 times 0 equals 60. Then I would see that 3x equals 60. Divide by 3. X is 20. So when y is 0, x is 20. Another point is 20, 0. So I go and find 20, 0 right here. So 20, 0 is right here, right? 20, 0 is right there. And then now we're going to draw that line, right? You're going to draw that line. Take your pencil, draw a very long line from here to here. There it is. And put the original thing on it so that you're fine, you don't forget. And remember, it's the equation. It's not the inequality go on the line. We don't have inequality of line. There's an equation of line, coordinate geometry. All right, so now that we have that, what we want to do now, as I said, we need to shade the region that satisfies both and call it R. That's what the question says. So the region that satisfies both is to understand how to do a label. Let us do the label. Here comes the label. You focus on the inequality to label. So this is the line here where y is equal to x. Please read from where y is to know what to do. Not where x is y. And even if x is where y is, because y is there, it's fine. Y is the boss. So from here, y is less than or equal to, please take a note. Please take note. Read from where y is. Y less than. So that means you're shading below that line. Watch. Y is the boss. Even though I have x greater or equal to y, when you're ready to understand the inequality, x can help you read it from where y is, as long as there's a y involved. If there's no y involved, fine. But y is involved, go where y is, you shade below the line. Now, the next one now is 60x plus 80y less than again. The moment it says less than, you shade below the line, point below the line. Look for your solution. You should see the solution now. You're looking for a place where the two lines are in. I definitely know that you're seeing that it is here. Everybody should see that this is the triangle that is dealing with this part. So we're going to call it R, as they say. There it is, R, right? Now let's look back. Just give me a second, let me look what they did say. Label as R the region which satisfies both. So there it is. That's the region that satisfies both. And then we're going to be looking at another question. So let's go back to this. There it is. You take a look at it. So you draw your lines, and then from there you can shade. So you're going to go over or beneath, depending on the context, whatever you're doing. All right, let's go. Let's go again. So here is the next question. The total number of mobile phones, right, is represented by x plus y. According to the graph on page, which is our graph, what is the largest possible value for x plus y? All right. I want you to understand this. That when you're using your graph, your largest and your smallest, your best and your worst can only be found at specific places. I will highlight it. They can only be found at your vertices. Here is one. Here's another. And here is another. Those spots are your best and your worst, your biggest and your smallest. One is there, one is here, one is here. Now you can see here that talking about x plus 1. Look at this number. This number is about, this number, when you look at the number, this spot is less than 10. It's less than 10, 10, because 10, 10 is right here. So you could see that it's, I don't want to, it's like maybe 9 point something with 9 point something. This one is a 0, 0. But what I love is that this one down here is 20, 0. That means it's the biggest, because if this is not 10, 10, this is less than 10 for x, less than 10 for y. So I'm not gonna get, if I add them, I won't get something as big as 20, because 20 plus 0 is still 20. All right, so that is how I know right now that the biggest value for x and y is at 20, because this is the next biggest, and it is not 10 and 10. It's less than 10, less than 10. So this should be a 1 mark question if I should look. It's a 1 mark question, because what they're saying is, can you look, can you tell me the vertices that would give the biggest number? Right, so watch this. According to the graph, what is the largest possible value of the thing? So you're not going to, all they wanted to do is to give the largest possible value, 20. It's not like you're going to do anything. You would have known that it is 20, 0 that caused it. So 20 plus 0 give you back 20. This is x, this is y. X, y. You're seeing that. The other numbers, we have 0, 0, and we have like maybe 8 point something plus 8 point something. Still not going to give 20. So definitely this is the correct answer right now. Right? So you're seeing that your x is your 20 and your y is 0. You add them and you get 20, right? All right. That's that. Moving on. It says now, the table below shows a pair of values of the function y is equal to x squared plus x minus 4. We are now dealing with a quadratic curve. Values are there and everything. They said on the grid below, on the grid provided at page 25, plot the 4 remaining points and draw the graph. All right, for where x is less than or equal to 3, greater than or equal to -4. When they give you this, it's additional information from your table. It's your domain. See there, the -4. See there, 3. So even if you don't understand what that means, it's nothing. Don't stress yourself. They're telling you where the graph starts and where it will end, right? So you want to look at that. So now you're going to draw the graph, plot the missing points. So let's see the missing points. Let me go here. I think I did it. Not really did it. I have it here. All right. All right. So there it is. Let's put the missing points on. All right. Look to see what's missing. Oh, they plot up to -1. So we have to go, they plot up to -1. So it's gonna be our responsibility to do these, this. Work with me. 0, -4. Right here. 0, -4 is right there. 1, -2. 2, 2. And then 3, 8. Right there. So they want us to draw that. Here it is. All right, so that is it when it is drawn properly. So you want to do your freehand. Remember that there you can't. The reason why I show you that is because every time I do this and they didn't give it a turning point, people will do this. You can't do that. There is never that point. So I'm showing you what the computer does. See there? So we got this and we got this. But you have to know that it's your responsibility to turn it back nicely and go. Your responsibility to turn. So let us go back to it. See there? So we're gonna have to turn it for ourselves based on what you got, right? Very important. So you're gonna Just keep drawing. It's not a, do not use a ruler to draw this. It's a freehand, but try to draw it as neatly as you can. And you just draw it, try to represent it the best way possible. All right, so that's good enough. All right. So we represent it like that, and you get your full marks. As long as you do that, you're good to go. So you turn it for yourself. There is no plateau. So point of emphasis, you cannot have this on your curve ever. You cannot have that on your curve ever. These, they are not there. You have to turn nicely all the time. All right, so we have that down, and this is what it looks like when the computer does it. There it is. All right, there it is. Now let us go back to, so now we have drawn that. You get 3 marks to do that. Write down the maximum or the minimum value of the function. Write down the maximum or the minimum value of the function. All right. Maximum or minimum value of the function. Let's go. Now let's go. When we talk about maximum or minimum value of a function, it's going to be at the bottom. Let's go back to our figure. This function has a minimum. Look, how do you know? Your function was going down, 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 and then at some point in time, it's going up. You're like, really? If it's going down and then it starts going up, that means at some point I reach my minimum. I'm going down, 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 and then I start to go up. That means I reach my minimum. Your minimum is always down here. Take out your ruler. Here's your minimum. Down there. And you're going to let this kiss the curve right there. Right there. That's it. Look. So you want to just take your time and you do that. And you would be looking at your grid and you will see exactly what's going on. It is conditional to your turning, your diagram, but you're going to have to do that. That's your minimum. Your minimum has to be read off from the y-axis. So I need to find that number. What is this number right there? Right there, right? So I'm looking now, and you're kind of looking at it 0.2. It's going up by 0.2. So it means then this is a 4.2, 4.2, 4.4, negative 4.6. So this is a negative 4.6 for your minimum. Negative 4.6, and you're good to go right there, right? Now, that's the minimum value, negative 4.6. It does not go below that. Take a look again. Question says, write down the maximum or the minimum value of the function. I'll definitely tell you that this minimum value it's always a y value, negative 4.6. That is based on what I saw. But remember, when you draw your curve, you will get a different thing. All right? So don't stress yourself too much. So there are multiple answers here, depending on how you turn back. You know, you get your answer, but you understand what I got. See, mine is a 0.6 right there. Yeah, so I'm good. So that's what I want from you guys. Interpreting your own diagram, representing yourself, right? So on the y-axis, that line would have passed to negative 4.6. That's what I'm saying. And it's a y value. So minimum or maximum will be a y value. This is a minimum. All right. Let's go for the next one. Use ruler to draw the axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry is a line that cuts your graph into two equal pieces. Let me do it on this for you to see how nicely it is. So my axis of symmetry is a line that will cut my graph to equal pieces. Check it out. You look at the graph, look for yourself, and you will find that line. That is your axis of symmetry. Check it out. That's it. That line that cuts the graph into two equal pieces. And for me, I'm seeing where it is at x equal to negative 0.5. They didn't ask for it, but they said draw the line, which is the axis of symmetry. I'm saying to you, you would have been required to draw that line right there. All right, let's move on. We're going. I'm not gonna stop until I finish. So we have two more questions to go. Here it is. All right. So this question says here in the diagram below, ECG, F, they are on the circumference of the circle. EG is the diameter of the circle. Tangent AE, B is perpendicular, is parallel to CD. And we get the angle 68, we get 106. Fine. Determine the value of each of the following angles. All right. So we want to determine the value of each of these angles. And we want to show working where necessary and give a reason. Singular, reason. Right. Let me go for the diagram. All right. So I have the diagram here so we could play around with it. All right, let's go back for the question. So the first question is that what we wanna do here is we wanna determine the value of each of these and give a reason. So ECD, I normally say to you, please label the angle ECD. Look, EC to D, ECD, ECD, this. Always mark your angle and then look. You do realize that we have a parallel lines here, transversal. So you should see a Z angle coming out. So it simply means then take a look at it, see there, Z angle coming out. So it means then that this is 68. Just the same, right? So we want to put that this is equal to 68 degrees, and we did use alternate angles. Are equal. That's my value, and that's my reason to choose it. Alternate angles are equal. It's not going to be a biggie. One mark is for the number and one mark is for the reason. CEG. What you want to do is to mark CEG. CEG. Mark the angles, stop, look. CEG. We want that angle right there. Now, think about this situation. You're seeing a tangent down here. This is a diameter, which is 2 radii. Allow these ideas to trigger your memory. Diameter, tangent. Then you should know, say, oh, diameter meets the tangent or radius meets the tangent at 90 degrees. That means all of this angle right here is 90 degrees. So then, if part of it is 68, then 90 take out 68 will give me my 22. right? 90 minus that 68. That means this piece is 22 degrees. So there it is, I found my 22. And then I'm going to tell you the reason that I picked 22. What's the one thing that helped me? CEG is 90 minus 68, which is 22 degrees. And the reason that I pick is, I'll say radius meets tangent at 90 degrees. This was the idea that allowed me to say 90 minus that, so I could get that. So these questions are not necessarily a big deal, but it's simple within your memory. One has to at least remember what's going on. All right, let's continue. Continue. All right. CGF. Let's go for CGF. There is CGF. There are a number of things that you can do. There are about 2 approaches that we're seeing, but you have to be looking, right? So here is the deal. Understand that you can, this angle here is an angle in a cyclic quad. Look, C, G, F, E is a cyclic quadrilateral. 4 vertices are on the circumference. Opposite angles add to give 180 degrees. Therefore, right now, I can use this knowledge to help me. Watch. I could understand that this angle is simply 180 minus 106, and we'll get 74. Then I could put together 74, 68, and deal with all of this angle right here. Why? Opposite angles of the cyclic quad add to give 180. So if I know this angle down here, automatically, if I know that, I will be in the know. So let us find that angle right now. So then the third angle in the triangle is going to be 180 degrees minus 74 plus 68.
38.
Thank you. This is 38. That means the angle opposite to it, which is what the question is now asking. So that angle C, G, F is 180. Hold on. Minus 38. And you get a 142. Opposite angles in the cyclic quad will add to give 180. All right. So you want to drop this. This would have shown you working. Yeah. We got 142. And we say opposite. In a quite cyclic quadrilateral adds to 180 degrees. That's one approach. Let me show you another approach. You could have found it like that. What if you never realized that triangle that I saw there? You could have done it like this as well. Watch. And this is why I said to you that these questions are actually nice, because there are various approaches that you can take to maximize your thing. This is a parallel line here, which is parallel to this, two parallel lines. Transversal. That means I have a Z angle because 108 is this. 106 is that. This is 106. So if I take 106 and take 68 out of it, I'm going to get 38 for this, which is what we found already anyway. But I'm just saying it's another approach which is very different. We realize that it's 38. And then the same principle come. Opposite angles in the cyclic quad add to give 108. So you're still going to do the same thing. 180, take out the 38, and you're still going to have 142 degrees. And I'm saying to you, depending on what you see in the exam, but you're still going to have to make the transition at the end of the day. Opposite angles in the cyclic quad add to give 180 degrees. So this is 142. From that other angle, from the other reason that I came up with, you understand, to get the 38 out. So there are various ways to get it. Use it up. Circle theorem is done. See that? It's not bad. Now, the B part, heading there, we have 1.5 questions to go. Come on, stay with me. From a harbor H, the bearing of two ships, Q and R, are 69 and 151 respectively. Q is 175, right? From H. Q, let me put it on, same time. Q is 175 from H. Yes, all right. While R is 242 from H. Question, complete the diagram above to show the given information. Well, this was missing, we just put it on. 175 from H. And this is missing as well. The bearing of the bearing of R from H is missing. So the bearing of R from H is all of this angle here. All of that. That is our 151. From your north, all bearing are from the north. So the bearing of R from H, that was missing. All right. All right, so there we go. Now, the question says, calculate QR, the distance between the two ships to the nearest kilometer. Now, they want us to find this. Now, if you notice though, angle between two known sides, but we have enough information to know the angle. Now, remember, 151 passed the 69. So if you take out the 69 from it, we're going to get the angle right there. 151, take out that 69, you're going to get 82 degrees for that spot. Allow me to just clear it up and put it on. So this angle here is 82, right there. Now I can take that 82 degrees and then solve the problem, because now I know everything in that corner. So I want to say that QR square is equal to 175 square plus 242 square minus 2 times 175 times 242 times the cosine of 82. So we want to put all of those together. 175 square. Let's go. That's about 30625. 58,564. Negative 2 times 175 times 242 times the cosine of 82. Subtract 11,787.96. Let's put it together. 30,625 plus 58,564 minus 11,787.96. And we're looking at 77,401.04. To find QR, you want to take this, the root of that, and you're going to get 278.2. But remember, the question says to the nearest kilometer. So it is approximately 278 km. Double check that for me. Double check that for me. Looks good anyway. Looks good. All right. Let's go. All right, so we're walking along. Yeah. So now the question says here that calculate how far due south is the ship R from the arbor H. All right, allow me to drop out the diagram here, just here. So we had our north. This was Q. All right, so we have H, we have Q, we have R. All right, this was 242,175. This is 69. This is 82. All right, and the question says no, right? Remember, no. How far due south is ship R from the arbor H? What they're asking you to do is simply to extend this north going south until you line up with R. So they are saying come down until you line up with R. So that means this is going to be a right angle triangle. Right, this angle is going to be of importance because this is going to be a straight angle right there. The north, that is a straight. So you should be able to figure out that little angle right there. So now, when they said how far south, they are referring to, can you find this distance here from right here to right here? How far do I need to come down in order to just line up with R? How far do I travel to line up with R? That blue line there. So now we want to find that. So we're saying that looking at it, it's a right angle triangle. I need to find the angle inside. But to find that angle, I'm just going to say 180 degrees minus 151. Why am I minusing 151? Remember, it's 151 for the bearing of R. All of this is 151. Remember that? Originally, that's 151. Right? So take it out. It's about 29. This angle here is about 29. All right, so we have 29 there. Now, that angle will now help me to find X because it's a right angle triangle, so I'm going to be using tower. Now, for the angle 29, I have the adjacent and I have the hypotenuse cosine. So now I'm going to say, listen, cosine of 29 is the adjacent side, which is X that I want to find, over the hypotenuse, which is 242. And then from that, X is to multiply both sides by 242. So 242 times the cosine of 29 is going to give me that distance. I'm getting
2,
211, yeah?
0.65.
0.65. I'm gonna say 0.7 kilometers.
0.66.
Yeah, 65. I'm running up to 7. 0.7.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So this is how far due south it is. How far due south. That means if you come to 11.7, you're gonna line up that you could just walk across east and connect with R. This is how these questions are. 12 marks for this. We're at the last question. Matrices and vectors. Let's see what we have. Stay with me a little bit. It says, calculate the matrix product. All right, the matrix product, remember it's row by column. So I could write them here. We have a 5, 4, -3, -2, and we have a 2, 0, 1, 3, -4, 6. All right, so we're gonna do row by column. Look at my rows. These are my rows. And I'm gonna multiply them by all the columns from the other matrix. This, this, this. So definitely I have, so I'm gonna use row 1, all right, which is, this is row 1, this is row 2. I'm gonna use row 1 to go with column 1, then I use row 1 to go with column 2, then I use row 1 to go with column 3, and then when I'm done, I use row 2 and we finish. So let's go. So I'm gonna go row 1 with column 1. So it's gonna be 5 times 2 plus 4 times 0. Then it's gonna be 5 times 1 plus 4 times 3. Then it's gonna be 5 times -4 plus 4 times 6. So there it is. I just did my row 1 up there. That's just my row 1 up there. Row 1 with all the columns. So I'm gonna go row 2 now. -3 times 2 plus -2 times 0. -3 times 1 plus -2 times 3. -3 times -4 plus -2 times. I need spacing. Let me fix that. Plus -2 times 6. Finalizing. 10 plus 0. 5 plus 12. -20 plus 24. -6 plus 0. -3 minus 6. 12 minus 12. Let's finalize it. Here's my answer. 10, 17, 4, -6, -9, 0. There goes 2 marks. All right, so it's just a matrix multiplication. You take your time, you do it. Nothing much to do, but this is what you have to do. State why the two matrices are conformable by multiplication. State why. There are 2 ways you can do this. Use the order of the matrix to tell if they are conformable in the order in which they came. So we had a 2 by 2 matrix, and we want to multiply that by a 2 by 3 matrix. So you can use the order of the matrix to tell if they are conformable. Why they could work was because, 1, these inner numbers are the same. That's the reason. So if you do this and you do this for CXC and you point to it and you say yes, that is enough reason to get the 1 mark. Another thing you could have said was to do this. Remember that this is a row, this is a column, this is a row, this is column, row, column. So it means then that the number of columns from the first matrix, number of columns from the first matrix is equal to the number of rows from the second matrix. If you want to word it like that, fine. But I could tell you, if you do this, you'll get the mark just the same. 2 by 2, 3 by 2, when you want to highlight the yes. All right, so that is how you know that it could work. Let's go for the next. What? All right, guys, I got a glitch in my Steam now. Not sure what happened, but let me go back for the. All right, not sure what happened just now, but all right, we're right there. Good to go. All right. All right, so here it is where we are. It says determine the inverse. Kavan, you're marking the screen. You're not seeing it now? All right.
No, sir.
All right, let me show you back.
It's still black.
You seeing it now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm not sure what happened, but we're back on. Very good. All right. So now it says determine the inverse of that matrix. Remember though, inverse of a matrix. All right, so let me label this an idea. If I say this is matrix A, right? If this is matrix A, I'm saying the inverse of A is gonna equal to 1 over the determinant of A, and you want to multiply that by the adjoint of A. So if you find the inverse, if you find the determinant and the adjoint, you put it together. So let's find the determinant. So that is going to equal to the product of the main diagonal, which is this. And you want to subtract the product of the other diagonal in red. So let's go for that. We're talking about 5 times -2 minus -3 times 4. This is -10 plus 12, and I'm getting 2. All right. So right there, I'm getting 2 for my determinant. My adjoint is to take the original matrix. So take the original matrix, switch the elements on the main diagonal, trade places. So you want to trade the places. So this is -2 going up there, the 5 gonna come down here. Change the signs on the non-leading, the red diagonal, change the sign, becomes -4, and the -3 becomes +3. So now the inverse is gonna be this: 1 over 2 times the adjoint. And then, you know, definitely that's the answer. And you want to simplify the answer now. You're going to put that 2. It's going to distribute inside. So you'll have -2 over 2, -4 over 2. Is half of everything we're finding. Yeah. And we could break it down: -1, -2, 3 over 2, 5 over 2. Oh, I think I left off my negative, did I? Make sure that there's no mistake, guys. No, I don't think I did. It's fine. All right, everything is good. Looking good. Looking good. All right. So that is your that is definitely the inverse. All right, good to go. Ready again? Looking at a vector question now. Almost done. Come on, let's go. All right, so the vector question says the diagram below shows the diagram AOB, in which OA is R. You're seeing that this is R. All right, let me take this off. All right, and they said OB is S. You're seeing the S. In addition, E is the midpoint of CD. Okay, OC is 3/4 of O. All right, so we're told OC is 3/4 of OA, and AD is 2/3, right, of B. All right, so we have. So follow the questions now. Let's see what the questions are. It says, write in terms of R and S, this in the simplest form, the expression for CD. You want to move from C to D, but before you do that, you want to make sure that you put on some labels. We were told a number of things here. I don't know what C to A is yet, but we got instruction here. So we want to fill out these first. OC is 3/4 of OA. That means OC is 3/4 R, which means from C to A is quarter R. Because it's like the one R is splitting up. One piece is 3/4, the next piece is quarter. All right. Another information, just kind of fill out AD. From A to D, it's 2/3 of AB. All right. Now, if I'm going to work this problem, if I want to find CD, look, CD would be to move from C to A plus A to D. But in order to find AD, you're going to have to do this first. Look, they tell you that AD is that. So that means I have to find AB first. So I need to find AB. And after I find AB, then AD comes from it. So I am going to have to pause because I don't know what this is yet. Because it is a fraction of something else. Let's go find that something else. Let's find AB here. AB is to move from, watch me, I want AB, you know, is to move from A to O. Then I move from O to B. See there? Find AB now. I'm coming in the opposite direction of OA. OA is R, but I'm coming AO, so it's negative R plus OBS. That is O, that is AB. Now A to D is 2/3 of AB. Do it, man. 2/3 of it. Don't overstress yourself. The only thing you can do here is that if you want to distribute it inside, like negative 2/3 R plus 2/3 S. If you want to do that, fine. But I'm saying that this is AD, right? Or you could write it like that, right? So now, let us now use it now. Now we have AD. Watch this. Come back here. CA is quarter R. AD is negative 2/3 R. plus 2 over 3 S. Take a look at it. No stress, right? When you get these type of vectors, you are actually doing algebra. So the vector knowledge will help you to put things together, but it's algebra you're actually doing. Algebra. So now, in sorting out your algebra here, right? Put together the like terms. Here it is. Work them out, man. If I were you, I'll work them out. Take your time and work it out. Come. Draw your line. 12 is the denominator. LCM. 4 into 12, 3. 3 times R, 3R. 3 into 12, 4. 4 times -2, -8 R. And so when you balance out this, you should notice that you're getting -5. You're getting -5 R over 12. So this now, watch this. Watch this, you know. Finally, is this part you're worrying about? This is the part you're simplifying. So that is -5 R over 12. And this part is 2/3 S. Believe it or not, sometimes they're going to give you some algebra to do in your vector. I am begging you, just take your time and do what you learn with algebra fraction. So -5 over 12 R plus 2 over 3 S is CD. All right, we have CD. Let's continue. So that is CD there. And I agree, it's a nice little work. I agree. But they want to know if you can do your vectors. You're wondering if it is more work. It is too much work. It's just what it is. OE. They want you to find this. Now, here's the deal. What do you know about E? Look, E is the midpoint of CD. You see that? We just find CD, and E is in the middle of it. So here up now. Here is CD going this way. E is in the middle of it. So I can know what CE is because it's going to be half of CD. So here is the issue. I want to find OE. I want to find OE. That means I'm going to move from O to C and C to E. O to C, C to E. This. That's my motion. O to C, C to E. I have OC already. Look, OC is 3 over 4 R. 3/4 R. CE is half of CD. So I'm writing it, not cutting any shortcut. I want you to see what's going on. Half of CD. Go back and look at CD. Half. I'm going to see there. Half of it. Watch this. Half of it. And then I could tell you something. Half. And when you put this together, you're done. But look at what's going to happen. It's algebra they're testing for. When the half goes inside, you get -5 over 24, though. Look at that. And when the half distribute inside, you get plus 2s at the top over 6. Look at that. So you do realize that half is to just double your denominator. You know? Like if you know this, half of it is just to double the denominator and look, 24, 6, half of a fraction, double denominator. Check it out after class. Now I'm going to put together this idea. I can put together one broad thing now if I want. You could, because you're adding and subtracting. Look, you could do this. 24. 4 into 24, look, regular. 4 into 24, 6. All right, let me write this on top of it. Let me show you what I'm saying. Look. You see, I'm just taking this as regular fractions. I'm not even thinking about anything. And when you do that, you tend to flow better. One thing now, 4 into 24, 6, 6 3s, 18 with an R. 24 into itself one time, 1 times that -5 is still -5 with an R. 3 into 24, 8. 8 2s, 16 with an S. All right. So the bottom line is, as long as we're not making any mistake right now. All right. Simplify this, what do we get? 13 R plus 16S over 24. All right, check if we're good right there.
Yes, sir.
Check if we're good. As long as there's no mistake, we're fine. All right, 5 over 24, 2 over 6. Oh, this is a 6. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I just saw something for myself. Here it is. I wrote a 3 here. Was it a 6 right here? 6 right here. Everybody agree? 6, 6. Right? So this is 8. Right? As in, this is 4. 6 into 24. 4 times 4 2 is 8S. I just caught myself there. I wrote a 3 instead of a 6 up there. No problem. So this is 8S. That's fine. So you can, that's the final answer if you want. Or you could break it down another way, but it's fine. This is acceptable as an answer. This one is a lot of algebra. All right. So you just need to watch over about the video, take your time and go through. I could represent it another way for you if you want. All right, let me just show you what the final thing could be as well. It means the same thing as 13R over 24, 8S over 24. So at the end of the day, you could have 13R over 24, 8 into itself 1, 8 into that 3, or you could say 1/3 S. It's up to you, you know, it's the same answer. That is the same. If you want to make it 2 different fractions, fine. 1 single fraction, fine. CXC is really particular, so it's fine. So it's up to you, right? All right, let's go. We're almost done now. At the end, this question and we're done. All right, let me minimize that. We're almost at the end, guys. Hold on a little bit more. All right. So the question says, all right, it says the points O, Q, R have coordinates 0, 0, 5, 2 and -4, 5. -1, 4. All right, there. Question. Write OR as a column vector. OR, look, OR is, how do you get there? Check it out. Would have gone 1 place to the left and 1, 2, 3, 4 places up. 1 to the left, 4 up. So that's -1, 4. -1, 4. But you never had to do that because the coordinate is actually -1, 4. All right, so you have to look. There are so many things you could do. -1, 4 by looking. This is, so OR is -1, 4. What's the next question? Oh, we're done. All right, so we're gonna find the magnitude of QR. Look at QR. Where's QR? Look, I'll just count QR right now. Look, QR. It's on the grid. I could count it. Check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, -6, 1, 2. And if you notice, I am not, you look at the scale. The reason why I'm skipping 2 is because between 5 to 4 is 2, 4 to 3 is 2, 3 and 3 to 2 is 2. So my 1 is to skip 2 boxes. So be careful. -6 with a 2. Then now I could now find the magnitude of QR. So QR is -62. So the magnitude of it, last question, is the square root of -6 squared. Put it in a bracket, please, so you don't make any mistakes. 30, I wrote 38, but that is 36 plus 4, and that's the root of 40 units, and you're done. If you want to find the root of 40 in decimals, it's fine, but they are fine with that response. In decimal, you get 6.32 units, and you are done. Check it out, end of the paper, 100 marks. You should know how you feel. Tomorrow again, I will be here for class, but I think I'm gonna just go live since it's the last class for paper 2, that is. All right, paper 1 is different. So for the last class of paper 2, we're gonna go through a similar thing. All right, so see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye. We'll talk about all the things we need to go through this. So bye-bye until then. See you.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
All right.